Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste this now. And hello, everybody. My name is Delzar. So today we're doing a reaction video to the most grown-up children's story. This is by Foundry. I don't need a reason to have to go and explore this, just because fuck it. I like Foundry. This is fun to watch. Also because I usually have a lot of shit to say about these, so I find them to be some of the most fun videos to make.
Astronomers,
oh shit, let's go back to the beginning.
Somewhere out there among the stars, very, very far from Earth, there shines a dim celestial object of little consequence. Astronomers call it asteroid B612, just another twinkle in the night sky.
Okay.
What astronomers can't see through their telescopes, and would hardly believe if they did, is that this asteroid is inhabited. Here
What?
on this chunk of rock,
Okay, so this is based off a book, definitely.
lives a little prince. He doesn't own much. One can hardly have much on a planet.
I know that this is has nothing related. Also, welcome CJ. How you doing? But I know that this is nothing related, but this immediately just brings me back to the fucking Guardians of fuck. What is the? It's the damn shit. Not Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the damn series that has Santa, the Easter Bunny, and the Guardians. I'm good. I'm decent. Um, I am as I was yesterday. I will be. Wait, no. Fuck. How does my usual quote go? You know what? I'm just decent. I'm not gonna try to use my whole big ass quote that I use all the damn time. But wait, what was my? You know what? I'll answer this question again later on. But I am decent.
Planet this size. But for him, it is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning, he heats his breakfast over one of his 3 knee-height volcanoes, sweeps them out to keep them tidy, weeds out the pesky baobabs that sprout like weeds across the planet, and sits in his chair to watch the sunset. Life at home is quiet, solitary, and peaceful. That is, until the arrival of someone new. A special, mysterious seed carried by the wind from who knows where. It roots itself on his asteroid and, under the little prince's watchful eye, begins to grow.
What the
And
fuck
then,
is happening?
one morning, right at the moment of sunrise.
Because first off, being called a prince implies there's a measure of royalty, right? So does every person have their own thing? Is he a giant amongst his asteroid? Is the asteroid massive, or is it really small? Are they big, or is he small? Could it be that this plant is some sort of Garden of Eden? What the fuck is happening here?
It finally unfurls its petals and, yawning daintily, reveals itself to be a lovely, vain, and fatal rose.
A fatal rose? Okay, so now we're getting to the part where we introduction, but I'm still very lost. God damn, it's beautiful.
Switch to Chrome.
Nope. Move. Get out of my way.
Okay, normally we put a little sponsor plug right here.
Yeah.
This is where I mention it in passing, so you're not surprised when it comes up later.
Mm-hmm.
But this time is very different.
Ooh.
Our sponsor for this video isn't trying to sell you anything at all. Not even sort of. They're a non-profit organization called 80,000 Hours, and their entire mission is to help you find the most meaningful, most fulfilling career you possibly can. They've done loads of research for you. They've made guides, podcasts, job listings, everything you could want, all entirely for free, because they believe that when people are doing things that actually matter to them, things that make a real difference in the world becomes a better place far faster.
That's such a fucking
still
good
kind of
company.
hard to wrap my head around the fact that they're literally paying us to help you get access to this free tool that could change your entire life. But there it is. What a weird, wonderful thing. Please, take this opportunity. Who knows when it will come again? Visit 80,000hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna be taking this link and throwing it into the description so that we can all fucking get a job. Like, the job market's already looking bleak, so if this is even slightly helpful, you'll probably be seeing a little less videos coming out if I end up getting a job real quick, you know?
.org/TaleFoundry to get started. Our story begins not with the little prince on his little planet so very far away. It begins right here on Earth with another little boy who wanted to make art. The
Okay.
first piece he ever created looked like this. When he showed it to the
What is it?
grown-ups, he asked whether it frightened them. But far from afraid, they were simply confused. Why?
I don't like any children who ask a question when going, does this scare you? I feel like that's a situation where things might get a little. I don't know. Maybe this is just because I've been exposed to so much fucked up media that's just like, if a child's first question when showing me their art isn't, hey, do you like it? Is this interesting? Or, yeah, this is nice. But instead it goes, does this scare you? I'm going to look at it like, is it supposed to? Is it supposed to scare me? And if so, what is it?
Why should we be frightened by a hat? They asked. No one could see his masterpiece for what it so
Was it
obviously
a hat?
was. A picture of a mighty boa constrictor in the primeval forest, digesting an elephant which it had just
Ooh.
swallowed whole. Grown-ups can be surprisingly unperceptive sometimes. They advised him to put aside such silly doodles and focus on important things: arithmetic, grammar, geography, and
Garbage.
such. And so, at the age of 6,
Literal
he put
garbage.
away his crayons. But over the course of the years, as he slowly grew from a child into a grown-up himself, he would still pull out his drawing from time to time when he met someone who seemed clear-sighted and show it to them. This is a hat, they would inevitably say. He never met anyone who saw like him. Not, at
What
least,
the hell?
until he met the little prince.
Wait,
Our
what?
little artist has since grown up to be a pilot, and on one of his journeys, his engine gives out, and he finds himself stranded in the Sahara Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Isolated and exhausted, he goes to sleep that night beside the wreckage of his plane. But the surprise of hearing an odd little voice speaking above him soon shocks him
What?
to his feet. If you please, draw me a sheep, a boy with golden hair requests. The pilot blinks, trying to recover from the astonishment of seeing that he was not, in fact, alone out here. Moreover,
I have so many questions. Second off, it's more likely. Let's look in the description real quick. Um, sorry, my reason for asking questions is I'm trying to look and see, is this an original story? And if so, god damn, this is fucking well done.
he doesn't know how to draw a sheep. So instead, he draws for the boy the only thing he knows how to draw. To his amazement, the boy takes one look and says, "No, no, this is an elephant inside a boa constrictor. I need a sheep." He tries
Oh,
his
the kid
best,
is
but he never
literally
became much of an
your inner
artist.
child.
The first sheep he draws is too sickly, says the child. The second is too old. The third isn't even a sheep. It's a ram. You see yourself, you gave it horns, the boy says. Finally, out of patience, our pilot draws a simple box and tells the boy that the sheep is inside it. Surprisingly, the child accepts the picture, delighted. He has one more question of great concern, though. A sheep can be very useful for eating the troublesome baobab sprouts on his planet, he reasons. But if a sheep can eat baobabs, does that mean it might also eat a rose? This is a bit much for the pilot. On his planet? What does this child plan on doing with this picture of a sheep? At his befuddlement, the boy bursts into a
I imagine that this child has the ability to take whatever, basically, imagination and make it reality. So I'm assuming he's gonna take that box home, open it up, and let the sheep out. But then sheep will eat Rose, and as you described it earlier, it was described as fatal. A single prick of its thorn on its tongue, and it shall die.
peal of laughter like the ringing of a million lovely little bells. Over the next
Aww.
few days, while the pilot attempts to repair his plane, he slowly learns the tale of this strange boy, the little prince. He tells the pilot about his home, the rock out among the stars, scarcely bigger than a house, the 3 knee-height volcanoes, the pesky baobab sprouts, which he'd had to weed out every day, lest they grow into trees whose roots tear his tiny planet apart. Living on such a small planet is a surprisingly large responsibility, but it also
Especially for
has its
someone who's alone.
advantages. Whenever he's feeling sad, he'd scoot his chair back a few steps and he'd get to watch the sunset all over again. He'd
That's
been content with his little life on his little planet until, of course, the rose had arrived. That strange seed born on a strange wind into his life. She had quickly become his dearest companion, a friend whom he loved, and an endless source of torment. She demanded his constant attention, basking in it luxuriously, and withering pathetically whenever she didn't have it. She'd
what
make
the
him put a
hell?
screen over her every night to protect her from the drafts, though he suspected she didn't really need it. When she was feeling neglected, she'd cough on purpose to make him feel guilty for turning his attention elsewhere.
Okay, fuck the rose now. Jesus, that's literally just no. This is an ass. This is a literal, just like, oh yes, I would act like I'm in trouble. Just no, 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 motherfucker. You have the ability to be conscious. You can do shit. The only thing that stops me from plucking you up right now is this child. Fucker.
And though he loved her, the little prince slowly came to feel, with an aching heart, that he would have to leave his little planet to escape her. On
Then
his last
fucking
day,
rip her out.
the rose was unusually quiet. She did not cough. She did not ask for her screen. "I've been silly," she said to him. "Of course I love you. It is my fault you have not known it all the while. I ask your forgiveness." But they both knew that it was time for him to leave, and she bid him farewell all the same. And
Hmm.
so, taking advantage of a flock of passing birds, he flew away to travel among the stars.
Also, there's so much shit like this where I'm just like, random things like wind and space. It's the nonsensical nature of the story that's just wrapping around my brain and making me think, what would it be like to write something like this? Distance yourself from reality a little bit. God damn.
The first new planet he came to was a small one, not very far away, in a neighborhood of similar little worlds. It belonged to a king, sitting atop a majestic throne.
Hmm.
"Finally, a subject," he shouted as the prince approached. The man reveled for a moment in the regality of having someone to command, but except for him and the king, the prince quickly realized that the planet was empty.
Mm-hmm.
This man was the ruler of nothing, king for its own sake. Grown-ups, thought the little prince, are very strange.
Huh.
The second planet he came to was home to a conceited man wearing a funny hat. As
Okay.
soon as the little prince arrived, the man instructed him to clap his hands. The little prince did. Then the man, flushed with pleasure, raised his hat in a salute. When the little prince inquired as to why he was
What the
clapping, the man explained that it was, of course, because the little prince regarded him as the handsomest, best dressed, richest, most intelligent man on the
what the
planet.
fuck?
But he was also
Oh, you little shit! Go fuck yourself, bro. If you literally like clap and you're like, ah, yes, you are so. No, 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 no. Go check yourself.
the only man on the planet, the little prince pointed out. Grown-ups, he thought, are certainly very strange. The third planet was inhabited by a drunkard, surrounded by bottles. He turned his bleary eyes up at the little prince as he arrived.
Mm-hmm.
"Why are you drinking?" asked the little prince.
To forget that I'm ashamed.
Said the man.
To
"Ashamed
forget
of
that you
what?"
are a shit.
asked the little prince.
Ashamed of drinking.
Puzzled and dejected, the little prince.
Well, that's a fucking existential question. Well, not existential. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're drinking to forget that you're ashamed of drinking, you have only drunk yourself. Ah, you make me
Went on
angry
his
with your
way.
nonsense.
Grown-ups, he thought, are certainly very, very odd. The fourth planet belonged to a businessman, so occupied with his work that he didn't even look up at the prince's arrival. He was counting the
I'm now realizing what it is that these all represent: work, pride, self-indulgence. Oh, these are just the shitty facts of being adults.
stars.
Eh.
Hundreds and hundreds of millions of them. What
I now hate everything due to the fact that I was literally about to say, well, this is the price of growing up. And then I realized, no, it shouldn't be. That's literally me fulfilling the prophecy of what the fuck's happening here. Ugh.
What does it do you to own the stars? The little prince asked.
You can't change back
I
time.
own them.
What good does it do the stars to be owned by you? The man couldn't answer and returned to his task. Grown-ups, he thought as he went on his way, are certainly altogether extraordinary. The fifth planet was just big enough for a single street lamp and the lamplighter whose business it was to light it. Over time, the planet had begun to turn faster and faster until morning and evening were only 1 minute apart, leaving the poor lamplighter to alternately light and put out the lamp every minute, on repeat, forever. What a funny problem to have. Grown-ups were very strange indeed. But this one didn't
If
seem
this
so
doesn't stop
ridiculous to the
spinning
little
faster and
prince.
faster, oh
At
god.
least he cared about
It
something
really
other than himself. The sixth planet belonged
at some point eventually, if these beings don't have if they're immortal and they can't die of old age per se, if they one day just happen to have this thing spin fast enough, wouldn't it basically be him just going, where it is constantly in a state of being day and night due to the fact that it just infinitely speeds up?
to a geographer sitting amidst piles of voluminous books. He was documenting the rivers and mountains of distant places. The little prince volunteered some information about his own planet for him to mark down. 3 volcanoes, one of them extinct, and 1 rose.
We do not record flowers.
Said the geographer. The little prince was shocked. Why?
Why?
He asked.
Because they are ephemeral.
This troubled the little prince. As he left,
They do not last
it was
forever.
with a fresh weight of guilt in his heart for leaving his vulnerable, fragile, now ephemeral rose all alone. The final planet the prince came to was Earth. Compared to all the others, Earth was huge. He walked on and on, over mountains, over sand, over snow. It seemed as though he could walk a straight line forever in any direction and never end up where he started. Finally, he stumbled upon a garden in full bloom, bursting with thousands of flowers. But not just any flowers. These were roses. Good morning, they sang to him in a sweet, familiar chorus. The little prince was thunderstruck. Back home, he and his rose had both believed that she was special, the only one of her kind in the entire universe. His planet, his rose, and his life suddenly felt so very small and meaningless. He lay down in the grass and began to cry. Good morning, he heard a new voice say after a while. Looking around, he saw a fox sitting nearby. In his unbearable sadness, the little prince asked if the fox would not come and play with him to lift his spirits. But the fox said that it could not. For you see, it was a wild fox. It had not yet been tamed. But oh, how it longed to be. To tame something is a wonderful thing, the fox explained. It is not only to own a thing, but to build a connection with it, to understand it with your heart, to make it special. The fox begged the little prince to tame him, and, delighted when he accepted, explained how it might be done. Every day, for many days in a row, they would meet at the same time.
I feel this is so... I have so many questions just reeling my head. Like, okay, say that this is here. What is the logistics of this? But I'm starting to realize that the whole point of this is to stop asking so many fucking questions and worried about so many different things. Or at least that might be a message that I'm getting from this. Also, at the same time, that fox is definitely not going to live as long as he is.
And every day, the fox and the little prince would sit a little closer. And finally, after days and days, the fox was tame. But it could not last forever. When the hour of the prince's departure at last drew near, the fox cried. It was the tameness that brought the tears, but he did not regret it. He told the little prince a secret.
Wait, what?
It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. The fox told him to go again to the rose garden. The king, the conceited man, the drunkard, the businessman, They'd all seemed silly and strange to the prince, but he realized now that he had been blind as well, just like them. When he returned to the rose garden, he did as the fox told him and tried to see with his heart instead of his eyes.
You bring back a
And
patch of
he was
roses.
no longer sad because he saw then that his rose was unique in all the world.
Huh.
She was his own singular tamed rose, which he had watered and screened and listened to while she grumbled and boasted. All the other thousands of roses in the garden, though identically beautiful, were wild, empty things. To tame something, says the prince to the pilot, even just one thing in the whole universe, changes everything. Because the fox loves the little prince, the color of wheat fields blowing in the breeze will forever be lovely to him, for they will remind him of the prince's hair. Because the prince loves his rose, all the others pale in comparison. At his request, the pilot draws one last thing, a muzzle for his sheep, to keep it from eating the rose. And now, at last, it is time for the little prince to return home, to the flower that he loves. Things will change now for the pilot too, the little prince says. Now that he has known this boy, the night sky will laugh for him, like the soft ringing of a million little bells. Because on one of them, the little prince will be living. On one of them, he will be laughing. The little prince finally returns to the stars. The pilot repairs his engine. Life continues for both of them, but things are never quite the same for the pilot. His friends seem to notice a change in him. Sometimes they catch him staring up at the stars. He is listening to the stars laugh, only for him. But the story also isn't over for him. It can never be, for, you see, he realizes sometime after the prince's departure, he'd forgot to draw a string on the sheep's muzzle. There would be no way for the little prince to fasten it to the sheep's mouth. So, perhaps the sheep did eat the rose after all. When he thinks about this, it seems as though all the soft laughter turns to tears. Worrying about the possible calamity of a certain sheep eating a certain rose on a tiny, distant asteroid becomes the greatest mystery in the pilot's life. It would seem ridiculous to others.
What the fuck is this story? Because I'm sitting here like, wait a second. That is a good ass question. What happened here? But then I completely remember this is a fucking story, and I'm asking too many questions. But god damn it, the immersion of this. Also, let me see. Let me check again. How do I say his name? He's doing the voice acting. Benjamin Cook. Benjamin, you have an amazing voice for just encapsulating everything and telling a story. This is fucking beautiful.
They're grown-ups. His friends would never be able to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, grown-ups can be shockingly unperceptive, can't they? They say that emotions cloud the mind, but I think that to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to see with a bias, to see the whole world in a flower or the color of the wheat fields, it's a different kind of seeing, one no less important than the way that you see with your own two eyes. It's seeing with your heart. Although it requires the patience and effort and vulnerability of taming something or being tamed, although it opens your heart to the possibility of sadness, pain, loss, it is a way to see the world more clearly, a way to see through the world to the parts of it which truly matter.
This is
Don't you?
literally probably the most like mentally confusing fucking episode that I've ever watched was Foundry. But at the same time, it's also one of the most beautiful, just teaching you how to look at the world again. We're not even teaching you, just telling you a story. If you decide to open your eyes and look into it, I guess you may learn, but I don't think they intended to teach. They just wanted to tell.
Sometimes
Well,
feel
but
like a
maybe they did.
silly
I'm just trying
adult?
to be all
In
poetic
the
and bullshit
story,
with it.
it's easy to scoff at the king or the conceited man or the businessman because look at them, how silly they are and how short-sighted. But life can trick you into that kind of thing, working just to make ends meet. Getting a whole college degree just so you can
Now we're
make
working
money
right
for the
back
rest of your
around to
life and
8,000
watch it
or
disappear down the black
80,000.
hole of expenses. Most people spend about 80,000 hours of their life just working, doing tasks to get money to pay for the things they need. Don't you wish sometimes that you could just get out of that grind? Spend that time to make a difference in the world? There has to be a way to work your career, earn your bread, and feel like your existence is meaningful at the same time, right?
Yeah.
A better way to spend those 80,000 hours? Well, I'm here to tell you that there is. And this is barely a sponsor spot because there's no sell, no product, nothing at all for you to spend your money on. This really is me purely telling you that there's a way to make a real impact on the world and that you really can find work that will allow you to create legitimate change. There are incredible, meaningful jobs out there that you may never even have thought of. And you don't have to go find them on your own or chance upon them, because today, our sponsor is ready to help you. Let me introduce you to 80,000 Hours, a non-profit organization dedicated to helping you make the most
By the
of
way, go
your
into the link in the
80,000
description.
career
You'll find
hours.
all of them.
They've been doing
Like, you'll
this for
find the
over
links and
10
shit so you
years,
can get
have
out there and
already
support
helped over
yourself
1,000 people
and
find their
support
calling,
Foundry.
and have so many resources just waiting for you to lay hold of. With the help of hundreds of experts and academic organizations, they've studied tirelessly to figure out what career paths stand to make the biggest impact on the world, and they've laid out paths to access them as well. Turns out you don't have to be a doctor or a teacher or a charity worker to change lives. Maybe you want to be an AI safety advisor, working in a lab and making sure the robots don't get out of hand. Or maybe you want to make a career out of addressing climate change. No shortage of hands needed there. And if you're still trying to figure out what issues matter most to you personally, where you want to spend your time trying to make an impact, the website is loaded with educational materials as well. From a free guide that they give you right on the landing page of the website, to an incredibly good podcast where they interview experts from every field, to one-on-one calls with impartial advisors who can help you find some career directions that you find promising, this site, it's built to change your life. And I can't stress enough that literally everything they offer is free. Visit 80,000hours.org/TaleFoundry to get started.
I just want to know how long it's taken them to actually get off the ground, because there's no way that starting a site like this for free didn't take a fucking struggle and effort to get this many resources, this many people to work together.
An absolutely massive thanks to them for giving us the opportunity to tell you about this thing that they've created for you. Definitely one of the coolest sponsors we've had on the show. I really hope you'll give it a look. Again, that's 80,000hours.org/TaleFoundry. Imagine reclaiming 80,000 hours of your life, turning all that time from mindless labor just to put food on the table to something you feel passionate about, something that changes the world. Anyway, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching and keep making stuff up. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. That's fucking nice. I love the way that this works, but I have so many questions. Also, I at the same time just wonder, like, I wonder if there's lore. I wonder do they have a whole story about it, like, because there is definitely some consistency between different stories. Also, they're like robots, right? So, at some point, do you have to question: are these little helpers the ones who are technically responsible for doing stuff in canon? Obviously, it's people in the credits, but I have so many questions. Anyways, links will be out there. Go down into the description, support yourselves. Okay. At the same time, my name's been Delzar Slit. Please have a lovely fucking day. Actually, you know what? Take back the word F. The F word. Just have a good day. Support yourself. Love yourself. Love other people around you. Don't hate anyone. Well, I'd actually be a hypocrite if I tried to not to hate anyone. Don't shed hate on people that have not warranted it nor done anything to you. Anyways, have a lovely day. I would usually say my own bullshit, but I don't feel like doing that. Not right now.